Welcome to Glambot. Before you begin, please review your assembly instruction manual and the safety instructions. The estimated length for the first time you build your unit is 30 minutes. For safety and ease, we recommend you use 2 people for the assembly process. All of the hardware and tools you will need are included and can be found in the Glambot arm case. It is imperative that you have the appropriate amount of space before running your Glambot. A minimum 10-foot wide by 10-foot long by 9-foot high space is required to avoid collisions. Warning: a collision with Glambot may cause physical damage to property, person, or the robotic arm. Ensure proper clearance of the robot at all times. All persons and objects must remain outside the work envelope. By operating Glambot, you are assuming the associated risks and liabilities. Step 1. Remove the base from the box or travel crate. Place the base on the floor approximately 8 feet from the desired target location, with the power strip facing back. If needed, level the base using the ratchet adjustment integrated into each of the 4 casters. Ensure the base is on level ground, solid and stable. Remove the 2 magnetic perforated panels and place them to the side. Remove the base case from the work envelope. Step 2. Remove the pedestal from the box or travel crate. Place the pedestal centered on the base, aligning the mounting holes and making sure that no wires are pinched. The light should be facing forward toward your desired target. Using the 15mm wrench in your toolbox, attach the 4 M10 flanged hex head bolts. These bolts are labeled H1 in your assembly instruction manual. Torque tight and go over the bolts a second time as needed to ensure tightness. Bolt tightness in any step of the Glambot assembly is essential for both safety and to ensure as smooth as possible of the robotic movement. If a component is not properly tightened, it may cause micro vibrations, which will cause the arm and camera to be more shaky. Next, make sure the unit's main power cord is not plugged in yet. Then route the 2 black NEMA plugs and the USB-C cord under the base and plug them into the power strip at the rear of the base. Next, plug in the 4-pin connector. Finally, plug the 2 USB-A cables into the mini PC. Then, replace the 2 magnetic perforated panels. Step 3. Remove the arm assembly from the box or travel case and place on the ground in front of the base. Next, extend the elbow joint out from the stowed position of 160 degrees to a position of 90 degrees. Then, place the arm on its side. Locate the dowel pin on the pedestal so you know how to align the arm. With the arm directed straight ahead to the front, align the dowel pin and set the arm on the pedestal. We recommend having 2 bolts ready to secure the arm so that you do not have to hold it. Place the 2 bolts opposite of each other and thumb tighten. Use the remaining 2 M10 flanged hex head bolts to attach the arm to the pedestal. These bolts are labeled H1 in your assembly instruction manual. Use the 15mm wrench to tighten the bolts. Using a star pattern of tightening, torque the bolts tight. It is imperative a star pattern of tightening is used due to uneven weight distribution. We recommend going over the bolts 2 to 3 times to ensure the tightest fit. Next, looking from the rear of the unit, begin with the right side wire harness. First, plug in the USB-C wires into the panel on the bottom side of the arm, plugging the cable with the yellow stripe into the power port and the other cable into the data port. Then, plug in the 2 multi-pin connectors. Next, attach the left side harness by plugging in the single multi-pin connector. Step 4. Remove the wrist from the box or travel case. Extend the arm to the horizontal position. Orient the wrist assembly such that the nesting motor protrudes up out of the top of the arm. Slide the wrist assembly between the plates at the end of the arm assembly, ensuring no wires are pinched. Using the 4 M6 flanged hex head bolts, attach the wrist. These bolts are labeled H2 in your assembly instruction manual. Double-check to ensure no wires are pinched between the plates. Then, using the 10mm wrench, torque the bolts tight. Go over the bolts a second time to tighten as needed. Next, plug in the cable on the wrist into the panel on the top side of the arm. If holding the arm, gently let the arm fall to hang vertically to a 90-degree angle. Double-check that the arm is at 90 degrees. If your camera, GoPro or phone is already attached to the wrist, ensure it is gently tucked back toward the base to avoid damage. Congratulations! You have completed the Glambot assembly. You may now proceed to the initialization. Glambot Initialization Instructions. This is a guide to turning on and running your Glambot. Before starting, ensure access to a standard outlet. For customers outside the US, your unit has already been modified for your country's voltage. However, an included power adapter may be required. It is imperative that you have the appropriate amount of space before running your Glambot. A minimum 10-foot wide by 10-foot long by 9-foot high space is required to avoid collisions. Ensure your unit is on level, solid, and stable ground. Stop! Do not turn on Glambot before performing the pre-launch check. Remove any tools and equipment from the work envelope before performing the next step. Ensure that Glambot is located securely on a sturdy surface and can remain stable during operation. Double-check that the arm is at 90 degrees. If your camera, GoPro or phone is already attached to the wrist, ensure it is gently tucked back toward the base to avoid damage. Double-check that all bolts on the base, shoulder and wrist are securely tightened. Examine that all cables are intact, connected to appropriate connectors, and properly secured. Make certain that the emergency stop button is located where the operator can reach it at all times. Make sure that the switch on the back of the pedestal is in the ready position. Finally, confirm that there are no obstacles within the work envelope of the robot that could prevent the arm from moving freely or operating properly. Identify and eliminate all risks of potential collisions. A minimum of 7 feet of clearance from the front of the robot and 3 feet of clearance from the rear of the robot is required. Additionally, looking from the front of the unit, a minimum clearance of 5.5 feet on the left side and 4.5 feet on the right side is required. A 9-foot height clearance is required at all times. Plug Glambot into an appropriate outlet and ensure the e-stop is up. Then turn the switch on the power strip at the base of your unit to on. You should see the Q light begin to blink blue. Approximately 30 seconds after powering on, the Wi-Fi local area network will be established. Connect a separate tablet, laptop or phone to the Glambot local Wi-Fi network. Refer to your initialization instructions to find your unit network name and password. Then, open the Glambot Motion Control software by navigating to a browser and entering the HTTP web address found in your initialization instructions. If necessary, replace the XXX in the web address with the number found on the base of your unit. To calibrate your unit, select Calibrate on the screen. Your robot will now begin the calibration sequence starting with the wrist motor. The remaining 3 motors, elbow, pan and lift will physically calibrate by going through an extended range of motion. Total calibration time is approximately 2 minutes. If using a DSLR or mirrorless camera, it is recommended to calibrate with the camera off. If the Glambot does not calibrate, check for errors and turn the unit off and back on. Congratulations, you have now completed the initialization phase. You are now ready for operation and to begin filming. Now we'll go over how to use the Glambot Motion Control software. We'll cover the main controls, how to select and customize motion paths, and review the advanced settings and preferences so you can confidently operate the system. Let's start at the top of the screen with the main controls. Home moves the robotic arm into a compact, folded position. This is mainly used when the unit is powered on, but not actively shooting, such as between sessions or for safe positioning. Off, extended moves the arm into a horizontal position. You'll use this position prior to powering the unit off. Next is camera wake. This sends a manual Bluetooth signal to your camera control device. This is mainly a useful feature for filming with an iPhone, so you can wake and prepare the iPhone without having to physically touch the screen. But if using a GoPro or DSLR, it is typically not necessary to use. When path completes controls what happens after a movement finishes. You can choose whether the selected path remains active or if it clears automatically once execution is complete. You can also double tap on the clear button to deselect the current paths. The speed slider controls how fast the robot moves during a shot. Faster speeds are smoother and more cinematic, which is why we recommend using the fastest setting, Send It. Now let's talk about paths, which determine how the robot moves to capture video. There are 3 main types of paths. Sweeps move side to side and are great for dynamic, horizontal motion or when filming groups of 3 or more. Pushes start farther away and move toward the subject. These add impact and focus and are great for close-up solo shots. Pulls start close and move away, creating a reveal or sense of space. You can select one path to keep things simple or combine multiple paths as you get more comfortable. Presets let you save path combinations so you don't have to rebuild them each time. To create a preset, select the paths you want, then tap and hold one of the preset slots. Rename it, tap OK, and it's saved for future use. This is especially helpful once you find movements you like. The timeline shows the order of your selected paths and how long each one lasts. The total time of the entire movement is displayed in the upper right corner. Before starting, you can tap Ready Position. This moves the robot to the starting point of the selected path, so you can double-check framing, focus, and clearance. When everything looks good, tap Start to begin the movement. If you ever need to stop the robot during a move, tap Stop to perform a soft stop and hold the motion using software control. However, in an emergency, step on the physical red emergency stop button connected to the power cord. Advanced settings. The advanced settings give you more control, but if you're just starting out, you can leave most of these at their defaults. Target height adjusts the camera's vertical focal height during the movement. While these adjustments are minimal, they can be useful when filming close-up shots of people of various heights. Countdown delay adjusts the countdown time at the starting position before the robot moves. Typically, 3 seconds is perfect. Recording trigger controls when the camera starts recording relative to the robot's motion. 0 is recommended for most setups by default, but because camera timing can vary, you may need to test and adjust this setting to match your specific setup. Understanding the legend. The legend explains the abbreviations shown in the timeline, including direction and height at the start and end of each path. Show Timeline simply turns the timeline display on or off. Auto Calibrate on Power On causes the robot to begin moving immediately when powered on. This setting should only be used if you fully understand the risks and have a clear operating area. Use Safety Sensor enables the LiDAR safety sensor. When active and properly connected, the robot will only move if the sensor area is clear. Errors and Logs displays messages that help with troubleshooting. Save Logs downloads system logs so they can be shared with Glambot technicians if support is needed. Install New Update navigates to the installation page where you can upload new versions of the MOCO software. Reboot System restarts the Glambot PC. In the bottom left corner, you'll notice a moon icon. Tapping this toggles between light and dark mode. Lastly, each section of paths is collapsible by tapping the small arrow next to the title. This is useful for hiding paths that may not be in use for a specific event purpose. That's all the essentials of how to use the Glambot Motion Control software. Next, let's move on to connecting Snapic and recording with your camera. Click on the blue icon just below the Wi-Fi toggle switch, scroll down and copy the IP address. Then click on Configure IP and switch it to manual. Paste the IP address and set the subnet mask to 255.255.255.0. Click Save in the top right corner. While switching the Wi-Fi IP address to manual isn't always necessary, it prevents the iPad from jumping to other networks and will allow you to remain on cellular data for internet access. Note that when these settings are changed, it is normal for the icon to keep spinning next to the Wi-Fi name. Then, go to the Bluetooth and connect to the Glambot. Tap Pair when prompted. Attach your camera to the Glambot by sliding the hanger plate onto the mounting rod, then turning the wing nut until secure. If using a USB-C power adapter, plug it into the port with the lightning bolt logo. Make sure the camera is centered and mounted as close to the rod as possible. There should be little to no gap between the mounting rod and the top of the camera. Using a 3-foot coiled USB-C cable, connect the camera to the data port. Turn on the camera power. Then, using a 3 to 6 foot USB-C cable, connect your camera to the data port on the back of the pedestal labeled Wrist Data. Power the iPad using a wireless mag charger if needed for a long event. Next, tap the 3 dots at the top of the screen to open Split View. Open Snapic and adjust the window size. Scroll down to select Accessories and choose Volume buttons. Then tap Configure Camera and select your camera. For a Canon R8, you can choose any of the 3 options shown. They will all operate the same. Tap Start Photo Booth, then rotate the orientation if needed, and tap Start Booth. Select your desired paths and note the total path time in the top right corner. This time coordinates with the Snapic templates. You can round up or down to the nearest second. Then, tap the arrow in the top right corner to get the camera ready. Go to the ready position to check your framing, then tap Start. Snapic will automatically begin recording when the path starts. Congratulations! You are now ready to start capturing stunning cinematic moments. power off your unit, select Off/Extend on your motion control screen. We recommend removing your DSLR or mirrorless camera prior to powering down. Now you may turn the switch on the power strip at the base of your unit to off. Your arm 2 will gently fall, and your unit is now ready for disassembly. We hope that you have found this instructional video helpful. Our team is happy to provide support should you need any additional assistance.